I'm really excited. So today's January 7th, and January 6th and 7th to me was kind of like my January 1st in my book, because I was just looking forward to a new week with my family. My son's turning 2, and I'm so anti-bandwagon that I almost can't bandwagon January 1st. I don't know what my deal is, so I've been looking forward to these last couple days so much. It's already been a crazy day. Took my son to urgent care. All is good. And the reason I'm sharing that with you guys is because life is crazy. It is so challenging. It is so hard. And although I was looking forward to January 6th and 7th, and the universe was like, oh, let's just throw all these obstacles in there because you were excited for these days, I feel so much more equipped when life happens, because I've been able, to look back at all the other obstacles that I've faced. And when you face the obstacles head on, you gain strength. And I brought on a very special guest speaker for us today. And I feel like probably only about 25% of our team that I see on here right now knows Raina's story. And it's going to be the perfect way for us to kick off 2020, our brand new coffee chats. And I have some really cool things that you guys don't have to use them. They're just some resources and tools that you can use. They're just little images that one of the graphic designers that I work with gave me. She's also a coach, so she totally understands things that coaches are asking for. But I know that Raina is really strong on social media. And I haven't been someone who plans out social media because I always like to do it in the moment. But then I started to think, at least knowing my topics and the things that I want to represent, what kind of messages I want to send, those are things that I do like to start to plan out, because I don't want to be spending hours on my social media anymore. I want to have kind of like in pencil some things I'd like to talk about this week on my social media. So I'm going to share my screen with you guys, because I feel like going into 2020, I just want to work smart. Oh, sorry, my desktop is not what I thought it was going to look like. So let's move this over here. So the first thing I'm showing you guys is the part on the right, the social media happening. So this is, again, just something that you guys can, it's formatted to fit the screen on your phone too. So if you want to make it your background for the week, you could do that. You don't have to. But when I created our 2020 business bootcamp, I was like, all right, I want to help people get their story out there, which is why we're doing Stories That Stick. I want to help people really craft their message specifically to their audience. And I want to help them share their journey so that they can help more people. If you're spending time on social media, you really want to make sure that you're being productive with it, right? Like sharing your workout post, to be honest, just sharing your workout post is so like 2015. It's not going to work in today's world. You have to be able to show up and share a message. So Stories That Stick, our podcast party, everything we have going on right now is where we're supposed to be. So I'll share this with you guys in the team page if you feel like this could be something that you'll use. Sorry, I'm getting text messages, and I was just making sure it wasn't one of you guys telling me like you couldn't hear me or something. And then this is also just kind of like another little tool that you can use. You don't have to use all of them, but I know that, again, I've wanted to simplify, work smarter rather than harder. And I have less time now with having a little one running around. So it's really important for me to have somewhat of a plan. So if you're an anti-planner, like I have been almost all of my coach career, I'm like, I don't want to plan my social media. I just know that I go into the week a little bit taller and stronger if I have somewhat of a plan. So I don't want to scare you with the word plans, but I feel like this could be something to help you guys, okay? And then lastly, this I think you should use. Okay, the other two, I'd say like optional, something cool. I'm going to open the chat so I can make sure I'm staying on top of everything here. Yes, Britt, I will post these in the team page. So there was actually, I was going to write in the team monthly mantra here, but I kind of want you guys to figure that out for yourself. I don't want you to have to buy into what my mantra is. I'll tell you what mine is. Mine is, I am capable of becoming more. And that is something that Gabby Bernstein helped me put together this past fall as I started reading her Super Attractor book. And the reason I chose that is because like some of us on this team, we have like new faces on here. We have coaches that have been here for like a year or two, and we have like some OGs that have been here with me the whole time. And so I don't know about you guys, if you're more like on the OG side, I really feel like I've been at a standstill with creating like new blood and bringing on new coaches who are just as excited as me and who show up like me, and coaches who guys, getting fitness results to me is like no brainer in this business, right? Like we have to start there. And so I kind of got in this headspace where I didn't believe that I felt like I had hit my ceiling, but I'm the one who put that ceiling there. And again, it's why I brought, keep wanting to call you Raina, because my neighbor that I talk to every day, her name is Raya. So if I say it wrong, I apologize now. Raya. But I placed the ceiling on myself, and who better than Raina to talk about bursting through these ceilings? I know that she's ready for 2020 and some growth too. So these are just some things that I think will help you guys if you're looking to set some goals. I don't want to spend too much time there, but just want to share that with you guys. I'm going to stop sharing my screen. All right, so let's talk a little bit about our guest speaker, and I'm going to hand it over to her so she can share her story. And I'm specifically going to ask all of our guest speakers to share their story. See, I brought my coffee because we're having a coffee chat. What was I just saying? I specifically am bringing on our guest speakers in order of, how I've picked the dates for them based on stories that will stick. If you guys listen to these stories and hear the things that they've had to overcome, my goal and hope for you is to realize that we all go through insanely challenging stuff. And if this can inspire you to show up and to lean into those struggles even more, then, we tell you guys that often, but I feel like you've heard my story so many times. So my goal is to have them share their stories. I'm not even really going to have them share a ton of business stuff because we're doing that in the business boot camp. I did send over a couple questions to Raina for her to answer. And I think that these were questions that you guys might ask her anyway. So I know Raina, honestly, just obviously from Team Beachbody, but she was like this badass chick that was showing up on my social media. And she started getting all her tattoos, and she was doing her hair different. And I have a love for women who self-express, right? I love the women who show up and they're like, I just want to change and morph and challenge myself in a big way. And Raina does that. And so, I've met her at some of the elite parties back in the day, but I invited her to our team retreat 2 years ago in Lake Tahoe. And that was where we really got to get to know her and spend time with her. And even for me, I realized that she's just another person. We put these people on pedestals sometimes. She still kind of is on a pedestal for me, but they're just people who show up and do awesome things. And I feel like the last 2 years, I've really watched so much come to life for her. And so I'm excited for you to share, Raina. I'm going to stop talking so we can hear from you. So it's all yours.
All right. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay. It is crazy that it was 2 years ago, by the way. I'm looking through all of the faces, and I see Candace and Janelle and Kelsey and everybody that I was hanging out with 2 years ago. And it's hi, I'm going to introduce myself again because I'm not even the person I was 2 years ago, which is mind blowing. But thank you for having me. Take me off of that fucking pedestal. And I hope that me sharing my story allows you to kind of relate to me and see that I am just this really normal person who's been through some shit and saw an opportunity in Beachbody and ran with it. And I think that's all it is. People say all the time, well, you got in at the right time and you're so lucky to have built, what you have. But no, it's the fact that I hit a rock bottom in my life and saw an opportunity with Beachbody. And again, I'll go into this a little bit more in depth, but I had no idea what it was going to entail or what it was going to look like, but I knew that it was going to be different, and that's what I needed in my life at that time. So before Beachbody, I'm from a super small town. My graduating class had 16 people in it. I left my town 2 weeks after graduation because obviously, right, it was nothing there for me. So I enrolled in college, met a boy 6 weeks after I enrolled in college, got pregnant with his child 6 weeks after that. So here I was, this, barely in college, 18-year-old girl that had no idea what she was going to do with her life, who was now knocked up. The baby daddy was a drug addict and sex addict and alcoholic and just not a good person at all, but he was hot and I was 18. So I really didn't care. And that was my life and that was my future. And so I battled, his addictions and developed addictions of my own or struggles of my own. I developed all kinds of eating disorders. I struggled with anorexia. I struggled with bulimia. I struggled with binge eating. I struggled with depression. I was on depression medication. I was struggling with anxiety. My life was just a walking disaster. And I didn't know how to function without that chaos at that point. It forced me to grow up very quickly. I worked full time as a phlebotomist in a children's hospital in Kansas City where I moved to. Had another daughter. I had two girls, or have two girls. They're still alive. I have two daughters that are 19 months apart. And so here I was again, this 18-year-old, two kids, addict husband in this new city. I dropped out of college, and that was my life, right? I dealt with that for about 6 years, and about 6 years into all of that and into the drama. And again, we were very broke. My husband, we got married. My husband made really good money. He made, 6 figures in the business that he was doing, but we were paycheck to paycheck still, to the point where I would take $25 to the grocery store with a handful of coupons, and that was going to last me for the entire month for my family of 4. Eventually filed for bankruptcy, and not a lot of people know that. And was just, I mean, statistically, I was guaranteed to be a fuck up for the rest of my life, right? My kids weren't going to have a future. My entire life was just, that is what it was going to be. And I hit rock bottom at one point in like late 2012 where, I stopped the bulimia and I kept the binge eating. And so I blew up, right? I gained about 40 pounds, what felt like overnight. I looked down at one point and I was so overweight. I had this body that I had abused. My metabolism was shot. I just felt I felt very lost. So I went to the library. There, back in the day, I went to the library and checked out a book, and it was called The New Rules of Lifting for Women. And I was determined. I was like, you know what? I'm going to get just a smoking hot body. Since nothing in my life is going the way I want it to go, I'm gonna just try to get healthy. I'm gonna start working out. So I signed up for a gym. I went to Lifetime Fitness and I signed up for pump classes in the gym. Checked out every book I can that tried to, teach me about nutrition. Reached out to friends that I had that used to do fitness competitions and things like that, and just got help. And I was obsessively tracking all of my food and everything I ate on MyFitnessPal. And on MyFitnessPal, if you've never been on that website or that app, you can track all of your food, and then it shows, it's like a Facebook kind of for fitness, right? You can post things and comment and stuff like that. And so I had seen people on there talking about Shakeology. I asked at one point this girl that I'd gotten to know pretty close on MyFitnessPal if she knew anybody that had Shakeology samples I could get. She referred me to someone on Facebook. I messaged the chick on Facebook, asked for free Shakeology samples, and she turned around, sent me a webinar about coaching and said I should think about coaching. I reached out to her for free Shakeology samples, and she pitched coaching to me. Okay, I need you to hear that. All right. I listened to the webinar, pretty sure I cried my eyes out, told her I wanted in, and that was it. I asked my husband if I could sign up. He obviously said no. I begged him for about a week. I was able to use a credit card and sign up the following Friday, and the rest is history. I hit the ground running. I saw an opportunity with Beachbody as an escape from my chaos, right? I saw my upline, Leslie Cortez. I don't know if you know her, but she's not my people at all. And so it's completely and totally random how I found her and signed up with her, but she's very just over the top and beautiful and all these things and all of this stuff. And here I am, like, no makeup. Like, I don't want to talk to people. Like, it's just, right. It's just me. And so I signed up with her. She gave me a little taste. I mean, at that point, she was probably making like $6,000 a week or something like that. And I was like, what? Like, this is insane. If I could just make a couple $100 a month, like I'd be set. It would, allow me to pay off bills. It would allow me to do all of it was going to open up so many doors for me and my little family at that time. And so I asked her, I said, okay, business-wise, what do I have to do to be successful? And she said, you need to hit Success Club and you need to rank Advance and hit Emerald. You need to get people to sign up underneath you as coaches that want to work the business. And I said, okay. And I remember sitting every single night after I'd put my kids to bed around 8 or 8:30. I'd sit down on the couch while my husband watched TV, and I would grab my laptop and I would put my headphones in and I would just listen to YouTube video after YouTube video, not watching them, but listening to them while I implemented every single thing that I was learning in that video, while I was sending invites, while I would send follow-ups, while I was going through my phone and messaging every single contact I had in my phone, because I was told I needed to invite to grow this business, right? I needed to invite to get that couple $100 a month. So I did it. I remember I think it was October of my first year as a coach, so October 2013, I was invited to a leadership event, like the leadership event that's 5-star and above. At that point, I was only invited because Leslie got the invitation, and at that point in time, it was when you could bring a coach of yours. I don't even think there was a rank qualification. I was diamond at that time, so she invited me to this leadership event with her, and I said yes. I put everything on a credit card. I couldn't afford a fucking flight to California. I couldn't afford, the guest fee that it was like $300 or something like that. I couldn't afford any of that, but I put it all on a credit card knowing that this was going to be a game-changing experience for me, just being around people that were in the same business as me. And that event completely and totally changed my life. And that's why I'm so passionate about getting your coaches to events, get your coaches to Summit, get your coaches to leadership, get them to Super Saturdays even. Just get them in front of people that are in this with us, right? Because I think there is power in a big group of people, a big group of women who are all pushing towards the same goals and have the same passions. And I left that event completely and totally fired up. I left that event as a diamond coach and told Leslie when I got home that I wanted to push for top 10. And she was like, yeah, totally go for it. And, in the back of her mind, she was probably like, okay, Raina, let's go for top 10. So in 2014, I decided to push for top 10. I had completed P90X. I had completed Body Beast. Once I was done with Body Beast, I had abs for the first time in my entire life. And so I decided I needed to do a bikini competition, right? I wanted to do a competition because in my mind, that was like the next step. So I signed up for the Beachbody Classic. I signed up for a couple NPC competitions. And again, during this time, I decided to push for top 10, but I also, signed up for competing. So my competition coach was like, you can't drink Shakeology. That shit's disgusting. It's not good for you. You can't do Beachbody programs because you'll never get the body you want by doing Beachbody programs. So here I was as coach, not doing the vital things that I needed to do as a coach while pushing for top 10 in my business. So I completely shifted focus and just approached people with the coaching side of things, right? I couldn't lead with health and fitness because I wasn't doing that. So I led with coaching. That year, I ended, I think, at number 20 in the company, which was insane for me. But 2015 came around. I decided to stop competing. I like food too much. I missed, my at-home workouts. I hated being in the gym for a couple hours a day, every single day. And it just wasn't what I wanted to do. And I knew that based on the year that I had in 2014, I knew that the only way I was going to be successful in this was if I fully gave in to committing to the at-home workouts and committing to drinking my shake every single day and really being a product of the product, because I hadn't done that prior to this. So I quit competing, decided to push for top 10 again. I decided to stop focusing on the bright and shiny things, right? At this point, we had picked up from Kansas City, and I moved our entire family to California. We got a house on the coast of California because my business was just exploding at this point. I think at that point, early 2015, I had surpassed my husband's income. So I was making over, his $150,000 a year income. because I took this opportunity and I completely ran with it. So we moved to California. I decided at that point, like, stop focusing on the bright and shiny and instead focus on the fitness, focus on what really allows people to fall in love with what we do, which is the programs and the nutrition aspect of things, and just changing their entire life physically, right? And your energy and just your body first. When I decided to stop competing, I also didn't feel like working out at that point again. So I also had, protein shakes for breakfast, lunch, and dinner when I was competing. So the thought of making Shakeology and drinking a shake was like the last thing I wanted to do. So I was that person that would make a shake and dump it out, right? I was that person that would set up my camera and do a couple of moves from hammer and chisel or whatever workout I was doing at the time and then stop working out. Like I on camera and on social media was the picture perfect coach. But I had not, am I okay to keep going? I saw a little notification. Okay. I forgot what I was even saying. I hadn't committed right to me as an actual coach. So I gained weight after I stopped competing because I ate out, right? I wanted to eat again. I wanted to live life again. So I started eating all of the things. I ended up gaining about 40 pounds. In 2015 as a health and fitness coach, as a Beachbody coach. I gained about 40 pounds. So I was at that point more overweight than I was when I actually started Beachbody. That year though, I hit Million Club. We hit 15-star diamond that year. And we actually ended the year in top 10. I think we ended at like number 7 or 8, I believe, in top 10. It was huge. It was an amazing year. I pushed insanely amazing, but I also ended that year being like, God, I'm such a fraud, right? I just pushed for this rank, pushed and signed up all of these people when I'm not even really doing what I'm telling them to do. I felt like a complete and total fraud. And I felt like I had hit top 10 for all of the wrong reasons. And so 2016 came along. I got, in the beginning of 2016, I was, again, 40 pounds overweight. I had done everything I could to lose weight, right? But I didn't. I did nothing. I looked for every easy way out to try to just get this 6-pack and go back to being this like awesome, perfect coach, right? And I went to the extremes of I went to a doctor and got HCG, like tried everything I could other than what I knew worked to actually lose weight and get back to where I wanted to be. So in March of 2016, I went to the doctor because I was having all kinds of stomach issues and digestion issues, and I'll spare you the details, but I went in, got a colonoscopy, and actually got diagnosed with ulcerative colitis. It was a very mild form of ulcerative colitis. They gave me a pill, a very mild pill, and said, hey, you're going to take this and you're going to actually have to take it for the rest of your life because this disease doesn't go away. Like, once you're diagnosed, you have it. And so I was like, well, shit, like, I'm this health and fitness coach. Here I am on this medication to make me healthier when I have everything I need right in front of me. So at that moment, I came home from the doctor and I recommitted to my own journey. I ordered the Ultimate Reset, did the Ultimate Reset, lost 17 pounds on the 21-day Ultimate Reset. Jumped right into program after program after program after that, and honestly got into the best shape of my life, even comparing it to competing. Like, I was in the best shape of my life ever by 100% committing to drinking my shake and doing my workouts. And like I look back at pictures of like 2016 and I was like, holy shit, I was so hot. It was amazing. Like, I felt amazing and I mentally was in a really good place. Even though I still had all the chaos, I was mentally in a really good place. I focused on attracting people that wanted what I had then, right? They wanted to get healthy. They saw my overweight picture compared to my current picture, and I attracted people who wanted to get healthy. In October of 2016, I woke up one night and found my husband in the closet with a handful of pills and realized that he was still on drugs at that point. The next day, I actually was going to a leadership event in Scottsdale, or not Scottsdale. It was in Dana Point, California. No, it wasn't. Where was it? It was Coronado. That's where it was. We were going to a leadership event in Coronado, had a plane ticket for him too. And I didn't bring him. I went to a leadership event the day after I found out that my husband was still using drugs, the day after I decided to file for divorce, the day after I was realizing that my entire life, everything that I had built, everything I shared on social media was really a fraud. And it was the hardest thing I ever had to do. I had to go to this Beachbody event where people had known me now for, 3-4 years, and they knew my husband and knew him as this like awesome, supportive Beachbody husband. And I had to tell them that he wasn't going to be here anymore, right? It was almost harder to tell my Beachbody family than it was my actual kids. But I in 2016 decided after that, I said, you know what, Beachbody has always been my outlet, and that's not going to change. And so at the end of 2016, after coming back from leadership, I decided to push for top 10 again that year. And this was, mind you, in like the end of October. So I had 2 months to kind of make up. I think we were sitting at like number 15 or something like that. But I decided to continue to push and use Beachbody as my escape. And my team, I shared everything going on with my team, shared everything with my family and everything. And we completely and totally rallied together and pushed for this because we as a team needed it. And we ended up hitting top 10 again that year. We went from like the week before, it was like December 24th or something like that. I got a call and they were like, you're number 13. And I was like, you know what, fuck this. I literally worked through Christmas. I worked through New Year's. I remember sitting on New Year's Eve, just like grinding, and all of my coaches were on a Zoom with me, working so hard. I ended up recruiting 60 people in the month of December, and I had 31 coaches in Success Club in the month of December in 2016. So we ended as number 9 in the company, which felt insanely amazing. And it felt amazing because it was like the first time ever that we hit a goal like that, where it wasn't just a selfish goal on me, right? It was a complete and total team effort, and it felt incredible. And so here we are, 2017, a top 10 team. The stress from my divorce, from the realization of now I have to raise 2 girls by myself, the realization of running this business and now really doing it by myself. All of that stress kind of piled up and really hit hard in 2017. I was hospitalized many times in 2017 with my ulcerative colitis, and it developed into a severe case. During that time also, that was the year I call it the crash of 2017, right? Where I had, like, my entire team fell apart. I had other team or other coaches leave for other companies, other network marketing companies. Keto, Prove It, they took my entire team. Everything kind of fell apart. And so I felt my world and my life crumbling as I lost a husband and a business and all of these things. But I was still top 10. It was the most painful thing to be recognized and, have the lights and the recognition, knowing that it didn't feel like it was supposed to feel. I had my first surgery in May of 2017. I got to the point where I was, 105 pounds, and not to gross you out, but women poop, so it's fine. But I couldn't make it from my couch to my guest bathroom, which was 10 feet, without literally shitting my pants because my ulcerative colitis was so bad. And I ended up getting into the hospital. I ended up missing the top 10 trip that year to Amalfi Coast in Italy, and it broke my entire heart. I remember crying in the hospital. I even get emotional thinking about it now, because it was such a big thing we pushed for, right, as a team. And here I was in the hospital having to miss that trip, that the effort that I put in to get that trip nearly killed me, So I had a surgery in May of 2017. They removed my entire large intestine, and they developed what was called a J pouch internally inside my stomach that would work as my colon. I was given a temporary ileostomy bag that was on the outside of my stomach that I would go to the bathroom in. And I went to Summit that year, barely made it to Summit. I was actually on like IV nutrition and a lot of things because I wasn't able to like hold on to any food still, even with my ileostomy bag. I have pictures of, getting my recognition on stage for top 10 with my PICC line in my arm and everything. And just a really powerful, emotional time because I, for the first time in my life, started to feel good again. I didn't have the husband. I didn't have, any of that negative energy bringing me down. And I was finally starting to feel better with my illness. I had a second surgery in July of 2017 where they took my bag off and activated my J pouch, if you will. So I had nothing externally. I was still sick with my J pouch. I ended up getting my tree tattoo. I don't know if you guys follow me, but I have a tree tattoo on my stomach, and I call it my tree of life. And I had it tattooed over the scars from my initial ileostomy. And I had such high hopes of having this perfect health after that. But again, I was still sick, still no energy. At one point, I remember my ex, dropping my kids back off after he had them for a weekend. And I was laying on the couch. I couldn't physically get off the couch to welcome him into my home or to meet my kids. And he walked in and he looked at me, and I just imagined my face looked like a ghost because he just immediately started crying, and I looked at him and started crying, and I was like, I can't do this by myself. I need your help. He took me to the hospital a little bit after that, and that was in February of 2018. So I went from July of 2017 to February 18, literally glued to the couch. I did travel some. I did my very best to put a smile on my face, but I still felt like I was dying, and I was. And he took me to the hospital, and in February 2018, I was given a permanent ileostomy. So I have a bag on my stomach now, permanent ileostomy. Just completely and totally rocked my world, because it was okay having the bag when it was temporary. But it was a different story when I knew that it was going to be for the rest of my life. And so I sat in the hospital in February 2018, kind of feeling sorry for myself. I had, a few team members left that were still really rocking and working the business. My income had dipped probably half of what it was when I was in my, prime of Beachbody. And I just had this moment of feeling sorry for myself. And then I had this moment of, you know what, this is an opportunity for you to tell a story to people that are following you, to the people that have been with you since the very beginning. This is your opportunity to tell a story. You can tell the story of being a victim, of feeling sad, of, woe is me and this entire victim mindset, or you can choose to create a comeback, and you can choose to prove to people that, whatever you've gone through does not determine where you're going, and it doesn't determine, who you are. And so I, at 105 pounds, was just getting through my recovery. At 6 weeks post-op, I went to the doctor, and he was like, well, you can work out. You just take it easy. I have a very extremely high chance of hernia because my intestine is literally sticking out of my stomach. And, all of my friends, my coaches and everything, start with maybe 3-week yoga retreat or something, gently ease back into it. And I got home and I was like, fuck it, I'm doing 80-day obsession. It was right when 80-day obsession came out. And I was like, I'm doing it. I'll modify if I need to, but I'm doing it. I have a comeback to build, and I am accepting nothing less. So I did 80-day obsession. I actually completed it. I did 2 rounds of Lift 4, and then I did MM100 when it came out. I finally, for the first time in my entire life, felt incredible. The energy that I finally had, the mindset that I finally had, everything changed after that. I spent 2018 traveling. I don't think there was a month in 2018 where I didn't travel. And I told myself, you know what? I am not going to turn down any trip that I'm offered, right? And this is the year I went, in July of 2018, mind you, I had my surgery in February. In July of 2018, I went for a month to France and actually hiked a 180-kilometer hike through this island off of the coast of France, and did that pretty much by myself, and came home, and Colleen invited me to Tahoe, and I took a trip to Banff and hiked through Banff by myself, and just really took the time to find out who I was without a husband, without 2 kids, without, a crumbling business. I took time to find out who I was and really find joy in the business again. And 2019 came around, and I started dating. I got a boyfriend. I recommitted to the business. I started homeschooling my kids. I you know, I started doing all of these things that are not me, right? Dating alone with an ileostomy, I was like, well, this is going to be interesting. Like, what are they going to think of this like bag of, like literal bag of shit on my stomach, right? And then you're not supposed to laugh, Candace. And then, you know, my daughters were going through some stuff at school. My youngest was being bullied a little bit. And so I decided to homeschool them. And I'm like, you know what? I'm home all the time. I have the freedom to do so. I'm going to do that. By the way, they just went back to regular school because I couldn't do that. I tried that and that didn't work out very well. But like 2019, I look back and I kept hearing people say, oh, 2019 was a shit year. I can't wait for 2020. And I have this belief that every year that you go into is going to be what you make it, right? It's only going to be a bad year if you treat it like a bad year and have that mindset that it's going to be a bad year. And so I look back at 2019 and I know that everything I did in 2018 and 2019 allowed me to become the coach that I'm going to be in 2020. And I don't know if you guys feel this, but for me, 2020 already feels like an entirely different time, an entirely different phase. I feel this next level of energy. I feel this next level of commitment and excitement that I have for the business. And just being the new decade, and like Colleen said, a new lifetime. Like this year, I'm literally leaving nothing on the table. I told my team, I remember being in leadership thought this past year, like in 2019, I remember sitting in the audience with every single speaker that came on, and they were talking about their goals and all this stuff they had set. And I was just bawling, literally by myself in the audience, just like tears streaming down my face. And I said, I need something to push for. I need something big to push for. I need something that is going to wake me up and force me to show up without hesitation and work my ass off. And I don't want this just for me, but I want it for my coaches. I want my coaches to have a taste of what I've had in the business. I want them to feel the same excitement and the same passion and the same joy that I feel in the business. Even still, after going through everything I've gone through, continually showing up, I want them to have some sort of that success. So I left that leadership session early, and I went back to the room and I pulled up my computer and I went live on my team page and I said, I'm pushing for top 10 this year, not because I want the recognition for it, not for any other reason other than I need to feel that excitement and that drive again. So I encouraged them. I said, whatever goal you want to do, I want you to push for 2-star, 5-star, 15-star, whatever it is. I want you to pick something that is so scary that it almost makes you nauseous. And I want you to push for it no matter what. Like I said, I'm going to push for this. And if you're on board, great. If you're not, I totally understand it also, because I was not the coach I should have been the last 2 times we hit top 10. So I know that that's probably uncomfortable for a lot of people. But I said, I'm going for it. And as soon as January 1st came around this year, it was like this just different. I don't know if other people see it, but I felt this just different light, right? I felt a different mood. I felt a different energy. And I said, this is the year we're going for everything everyone said we couldn't go for, we're going for this year. So that's my story. That's where I'm at. That's my mindset going into 2020. And I hope it inspires you guys a little bit just to get uncomfortable. Like I built this business on the fact that I needed it as an escape, right? And I built it knowing that it was going to create so much freedom for me and my family. And I still stand behind that 100%. Every single thing I've been through, every single thing I've worked for, every single thing I've accomplished made me who I am today, right? I hate my ex, but I love that he was a part of my life for the period of time that he was a part of my life, because it made me the person I am. And my illness made me so much stronger. It forced me to recommit to this company and this business as a whole and really focus on my nutrition. It really opened my eyes to how important our health is, right? And like I posted today, it's like so many people, you know, they know about health and they know they should be healthy, but a lot of people don't take it seriously until it's the only option they have. And I know that without this business, I wouldn't be here. I would not be here. So that's my story. Colleen, do you want me to go with the question?
Side note, Sean is leaving for work in a second, so it might get crazy over here, but I want to say something before I hand over those questions to you, Raina. So I'm sure that there's even so much more that happened in your amazing brave, courageous, I'm trying to not cry, story. So crazy. But all I kept thinking the whole time that she was telling her story is, have you guys seen that graphic of what it's like to be an entrepreneur? And it's like, oh, this is awesome, crash. Oh my God, this is amazing, crash. I feel like Raina's story was just this consistent battle of obstacle and struggle. And like the universe was really just trying to beat her down. But never at one point did Raina say that she was going to give up. Maybe she felt like she wanted to, but she never did. Please know, I have no story close to Raina's story, but regardless of your hard or Raina's hard or my hard, it's hard. I know that I never want to tell someone to use this business as a distraction, but use this business as the stepping stones to help you move towards a better life. Whatever that crash is, whatever that struggle is for you, this business, even in my hard times, was the stepping stone. It was take care of you, Colleen. Engage in something positive. Go read a book. Go drink a shake. You know what I mean? When Sean was in his treatment, that was like probably one of the hardest times for me in my life, for sure. When I moved in with his family, I had to put some blinders on because the outside world was really noisy and stressful and scary at that moment. And I put my blinders on so that I could focus on myself in this business, and it saved me just like it did for Raina. So if you're feeling like you're going through it, whatever it may be, or you want to face some things and show up and change your life, this can be a stepping stone. This is an answer for you to turn your life around. But here's where it gets tricky. Do you guys notice that when Raina was telling her story, she started at 2012, I think? Years, guys, like massive amount of time. You have to consistently push forward for those years. It's not going to be 2020 only. You know what I mean? Like you can make great strides and change your life in a big way. Stepping stones, though. Think long-term where you want to end up. I obviously bleed Beachbody blue. It saved me in so many ways. Does it make me want to rip my hair out some days? Of course. I'm a business owner. This shit is so hard. We're literally trying to get people to eat healthier. We're trying to get people to go food shopping appropriately. We're trying to get them to listen to podcasts and do positive things. Most people aren't willing to do that. But we have to be the ones who do it first. And we're that 1%, right? We're literally the 1% of the world that's like, I want a better life. So if you can be as brave and courageous for years to come, like Raina, and I don't think anyone else's life is as hard as everything we just heard. I'm sure you guys have hard, but like, holy shit, that's a story. I was even inspired. And I feel like when you started saying this comeback story and I'll accept nothing less, like that's kind of where I feel like I am with my life in this business. So thank you, Raina. Okay, I had asked her some questions. I asked her, what do you feel is some of the most important things to include/do when sharing on social media? Wait, you're good. Sorry.
Yeah. I had to take a second to think about what I was going to say. But honestly, so I didn't have an Instagram when I started. I only had Facebook. I had about 500 friends on Facebook. I didn't start an Instagram until March of 2016 when I was diagnosed with ulcerative colitis. And I started an Instagram because, everybody said we needed Instagram at this point, just like everybody's like, make a TikTok and whatever. But like, I started an Instagram, and when I decided to recommit to myself and I decided to do the ultimate reset, I also decided that I was going to share every single aspect of it, the good, the bad, the ugly, the uncomfortable, everything. And that's when my business in general really exploded. And again, I started an Instagram in March of 2016, and I have 84,000 followers now because I've been consistent as hell in my Instagram. So it's not just like, what am I going to post today that, like this no matter what posting type thing. It's more so you need to be showing up with consistency every single day. And I don't care if you feel like it. Doesn't matter what's going on in your life. It doesn't matter, the situation that you're in. It's showing up unapologetically every single day for years. It's sharing your story every single day for years. I remember getting dressed every single morning after I decided to recommit, while I was in the midst of 21 day, I keep wanting to say 21 day, but it's a 21-day ultimate reset. But in the midst of the ultimate reset, I remember getting dressed and just taking pictures in whatever I was in, because my love handles were hanging over, my muffin top was there. I was taking pictures constantly because I knew I had decided that I was going to have a transformation. And I knew that I was going to want I have so many pictures from like March to June of 2016 where I was still uncomfortable and overweight because I snapped so many pictures. And I still use those pictures in transformations and posts today because I knew that I was going to need it. But my point is just your story. Like, share every single aspect of it. And that doesn't mean that I get on social media and I unload like I just did with you guys. It's me picking one thing. Like, what's on my mind today? Today, am I struggling with, my eating and stuff like that? Talk about how you struggle with eating disorders and talk about how you're stronger now, right? Talk about how you didn't used to be a fitness person and now you are. Talk about, your life, your relationships, your kids, your struggles, like everything, every single thing that you can share that is about your life and that allows you to go a little deep is going to allow you to connect with people that you wouldn't have been able to connect with before. And I think that's really the main thing that's helped me so much on social media, is just becoming so transparent that people are just like, it's almost like a jaw drop transparent, right? I talk about everything. There's nothing I don't talk about. And I think that eventually you have to get to the point where you become so transparent that that's what allows people to be connected to you. Does that make sense? Is that a good enough answer?
Yes.
Yeah.
And I mean, we know that when we go to your profile, we know that we're getting the real Raina. And our team's really good at authenticity, but now I just feel like, again, I hate bandwagoning saying, oh, cool. I hate saying like, oh, it's 2020. Like, I don't need a year. Yep, they see it. We don't need a year to say, oh, this is my year. We don't have to say that. But I feel like in 2020, people, when I go on the Explore page on Instagram, I almost hate it because there's so much staged bullshit on there that is not real, that I don't connect to. So now I want to bring that realness. And I hope you guys do too, to your social media. Okay, you can't.
Prior to 2016, the 2 years that I hit top 10, I don't even recognize who I was when I did that, because I was in such a mindset of like, I need to be the Beachbody coach, right? And I said this on stage at Summit this past year. I wore a full face of makeup. I bleached my hair blonde. I bought new clothes for every event that I went to because I thought that's what being a coach looked like. Because, not to drop names or anything, but like, I looked at Lindsay Matway and I looked at the Bombshell Dynasty and I was like, that's what I have to be, right? To be successful, that's what I have to be. And the second that I let that go was the second that my business really took off and I really was able to grow a following of people that wanted me, the no makeup, the fuck bomb dropping woman, right? That's who they wanted to see, because I was hiding behind this mask of this blonde hair, blue eye bombshell when that's not who I really was.
Okay, love it. And for time purposes, I'm going to go to the next question.
All right.
We could talk about social media forever, right? The second question is, what do you think changed in your business? What brought you to the point of earning a full-time income? Like, what was that shift? And I know that's probably early on for you, but.
And it was. And, I hit Emerald in like 4 days. I hit Diamond in 62 days, I think it was. But I was a Diamond for almost a year in the business. And during that time of me being a Diamond, I was so plateaued and so uncomfortable because I was recognized for hitting Emerald fast, right? I was recognized for hitting high success club numbers. I was recognized for hitting Diamond fast. And so to plateau for 9 months was so painful for me. During that 9 months, reached out to corporate and I said, I want to push for top 10. I was lucky enough to be able to get on a call with Arnold, who's now over Canada and UK and does all of that. But I got on a call with him. And at the time I was recruiting probably 3 to 5 people a month, right? I was hitting Success Club. I was growing a business. I was maintaining my Diamond rank, but I wasn't growing past that. And to hit top 10, to grow past that, I needed to increase what I was doing. And he sat in front of me and said, Raina, to hit the goal that you want to hit, you need to be recruiting like 15 people a month, 20 people a month, right? working coaches. Way more than you're doing now. You need to be investing in these coaches and teaching them how to build and teaching them how to hit Success Club and teaching them how to grow and all of these things. And one main takeaway I had from that was I'm not talking to enough people. I'm not reaching enough people. I'm not inviting the amount of people that I should be inviting to hit the goals that I have set. And I didn't necessarily have an income goal, but I had a rank goal, right? And looking back, I would have probably done things differently, but at the time, that's what kept me going. That's what drove me. So I remember being in April of 2014, I was a diamond coach. And after that call with Arnold and just him telling me, hey, you need to recruit more people and you need to invite more people, that shifted everything for me. And I ended that year as a 12-star. So I went from diamond in April to 12-star in December. And that was also the year that I quadrupled my income. I went from making, a few $100s a week to thousands a week with Beachbody because I just upped everything I needed to do. I just increased my numbers.
So interesting you just said that, because a little reminder note just popped in my mind of when I went from I was a 1 or 2 star back and forth. Sometimes I would drop guys from 2-star to emerald to diamond to 1-star. Like, if you're on that path of advancing, that's going to happen. But this is when I moved in with my in-laws for Sean's treatment, and the same exact thing. I'm like, we're going in. This is going to be my escape because I'm not crumbling. I don't want to crumble. I can't crumble. My husband needs me. And our team hit 5-star, and I read the 10X rule. So if you're looking to X your efforts and you need a little bit of in-your-face effort kind of stuff, Grant Cardone, he's quite the man. The 10X rule is really what got me there. And that opened my eyes to, what it's like to take this little box that we're living in and go big and push, for all these big goals that we have. Excuse me. Okay, last question. When you sign up new coaches, what do you feel is the best way to help them get started?
When I sign up new coaches, what do I feel is the best way to get them started?
Yes.
Okay. Just so you know, my process has changed probably, I've been a coach for almost 7 years. It's probably changed like 21 times. Like every few months, I'm like, nope, this isn't working. I want to change something else. But over the last year, recommitting in 2019 and this past year, this is what I do. They're signed up. I send them a new coach welcome email. In the email, it shows, here's our team page. I have a big team page for my entire downline. I have a personally sponsored page. I have a business builders page. So anyone that is emerald and above and hits 1 Success Club point or above for the prior month gets plugged into that group. And then I have a Mimic Me group, which is where I post what I do, the actions that I do every single day. And so they're planted into 3 of those 4 groups, the business builders group once they hit Emerald and Success Club. But they're plugged into those groups. And then I have like 4 videos in my team page that say like, here's how to hit Emerald, here's how to hit Success Club, here's how to start a challenge group, here's what volume means, basically, right? So just the very basics. I find that I have the most success with my coaches when I work with them more one-on-one. So once they're signed up, as soon as they are, Emerald or have a Success Club point on the board, I'm usually hopping on the phone with them to do a one-on-one and say, hey, what are your goals? As soon as they sign up, they actually have my cell phone number. So I encourage them, once you finish the videos, once you, go through everything, text me. And as soon as they text me, I say, awesome, what kind of questions do you have? I answer questions for them. And honestly, it's more of a one-on-one after that, because if I sign up 10 people, 5 are actually going to text me, right? 5 are actually going to make it through the training, through the videos. And it's nothing lengthy, it's nothing crazy, but that's just humans, right? So working with them mostly one-on-one. I do Success Club threads. So as soon as they get points on the board, they're plugged into a Success Club thread where I check in every day and say, hey, what are we doing today? What are our action items for today? And really keep them, try to keep them excited and in, because it's very, my main, one thing I hate about this business is the fact that we can recruit, so many people, and you hear their life stories and you see their struggles, and they need the income, and they need to get out of this relationship, and they need this for their future, and they need to get out of their job, and all of these things that they want. But then they sign up and they sit on this opportunity. And it is the most painful thing in the world to watch. Mostly probably because I've had success in it, and I know the potential in this business. And so to see people sit on this opportunity and not do anything with it, just, it's so cringy. And I do GSR calls. We do new coach GSR calls for our entire downline every other week. So they're plugged into that kind of stuff too. But most of it is just, I've struggled, and I've talked to Colleen about this. Like, I've had to get help from her being like, how do you teach mindset to your coaches? Because so many people sign up and need this so bad, but they don't believe that they can do it. So I've really shifted focus, trying to just instill that belief in them from day one. Encouraging them if they make a post and things like that. And I've gone back really to more hand holding, and I hate that word, but more of the one-on-one, like walking them step by step through how to grow this business. And some stick and some don't, but I feel like that's why I think recruiting is so important, because, we can give everybody all of the tools that they need to be successful, and they're either going to do something or they're not, and half of them do. And to me, and for my goals and what I want to see from my team, half of them is not enough. So I make sure to recruit enough people to where I can really, really invest in a lot of people to help them see success.
I think the reason I had Raina answer that question is because I feel like the biggest excuse that I hear, and I'm going to call it an excuse, of why coaches don't sign up other people is because they don't know what to do with them. Guys, we have like the smartest, coolest, raddest team. We have the best team page, the best resources. And your coach, most likely, or if not your coach, I told you what to do. Or the training told you what to do. Or the team calls told you what to do. Your job is not to drag people and get them to do the work. It's just to keep it simple and say, show up and be the best. The best coaches are the best challengers. You've got to get people to fall in love with Beachbody first and this team. It's not just the shakes. Because to be honest, I hated Shakeology at first. I freaking returned Shakeology at first. But what kept me around was this community and the fitness results that I was getting. So give people the opportunity to fall in love. That's really what your job is in the beginning. Getting a coach started, all the resources are available to you. And if you don't know where they are, you can always ask. But I hope you know where they are. But it's really, I think back to when I was in the early days of like becoming a competitive gymnast, and that definitely shaped a lot of my discipline today. And my teacher would always ask who wanted to go first. And I'm honestly looking for people, when I say who wants to go first, who wants to do this, that come to the front and rise to the challenge. Those are the people that I want to run with. Those are the people that you have to be looking for, but you have to become that person first. You can't ask someone else to come to the front and to show up and to do this if you're not. And it's very easy by going to social media, who's here showing up first and kind of pushing themselves, So, all right, well, look at that, on the dot, 12 o'clock. Well, for me, 12 o'clock. Thank you so much for your time. We really appreciate it. You made me so emotional sharing your story. I wasn't expecting that. No, it's like a good feeling for me. It definitely hit me in the feels. And if you felt anything, that is the perfect reminder for you to go tell your story, because you're going to hit someone else's heartstrings and you're going to inspire them in some way. So
thank you guys for having me on. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Raina. Bye.